In Violins of Hope, I have the distinct honor of writing about 6 violins and what they and their owners went through during the Holocaust. But there are a number of violins in Amnon's collection that came to him without any information about the musicians who once played them. In many cases, the instruments themselves can tell a story. We can tell by the craftsmanship and construction that the instruments were made around the turn of the century in Eastern Europe and were typical of the type that amateur Jewish musicians would purchase, or perhaps Jewish klezmer musicians. Some of the instruments, as the one you saw in the video, have very beautiful stars of David ingrained into the wood. Other instruments have that distinctive damage that comes from having been played outside in the rain and the snow, something no musician would have ever done unless forced to do so under extraordinary conditions. That damage that Amnon saw with the violin from Auschwitz that came into his shop in Tel Aviv in the 80s, and the violin that he saw in the museum at Auschwitz. From the totality of the evidence, we can surmise that these instruments were owned and played by Jewish musicians during the Holocaust. These are not intrinsically valuable instruments. They're not like the Guarneri that Ernst Glasser tried unsuccessfully to bring to Bergen. They're not Stradivariuses. They are simple, unsophisticated instruments that represent the everyday Jewish lives and everyday Jewish traditions that were destroyed during the Holocaust. They are relics of the Jewish culture that the Nazis tried unsuccessfully to wipe off the face of the planet. To Amnon, the emotional and historical value of these instruments far surpasses any monetary value. He considers them to be the most valuable instruments in his collection. Amnon will never know the names of his cousins, his uncles, and his aunts. They're buried in mass graves, so there's no tombstones that could help him piece together his genealogy. There are no surviving relatives nor family records that he could visit to learn the stories about his family that his parents had been too grief-stricken to tell him. The only way that Amnon has of connecting with his lost family is through the craft that his father taught him: repairing violins. And so Amnon continues to collect and restore violins that were played by Jewish musicians during the Holocaust. Each violin tells its own story. Each violin is a tombstone for a relative Amnon never knew. Thank you.